Welcome to our channel. In this session, we will discuss generic programming components. What is mean by this generic programming component? Anyone know? Programming component means simply the basic terms, that is a class, method, block, constructor, all those combinedly called as programming components. Generic programming components means simply the programming components which are ready to accept any type is known as generic programming component. And the most important programming components are generic types. Second one is generic methods. Third one is generic class. Fourth one is generic interfaces. That means the generic concept is applied on these four concepts. Coming to first one, generic type. The meaning is the types which are ready to accept any type, to accept any type of data. The types which are ready to accept any type of data is known as generic type. What are the some of examples? T specifies type, and E specify element. K specify key, V specify value. These are some of the generic types. So this, for example, E means element. It can accept any type of element. K, it can accept any type of key. That is the meaning. So a type can accept any type of data. That is called generic type. Now, generic methods. Generic methods means the methods which are ready to accept any type of data, as parameters. A method consists of parameter. Okay, it can accept any type of parameter. That is called generic method. Simple example, why you are using this generic method? Consider my program. My program wants to perform addition of two integers. For example, int A, int B. Suppose if you want to perform addition of two floating, do float A, float B. So in the same program, if a data type change means you need to write one more time by changing the data type. That is the method overloading. Instead of writing the same method, same logic, but only difference in type of parameters, here you are using the concept of generic. Now what is the syntax? T. Here T specify return type. You can give any type of data. Now, name of the method. Within bracket, you can write T. So like this, for example, add T space A, T space B. At the time of calling, if you are given integer, automatically A becomes integer. If you given float, automatically A becomes float. You got it? So in case of a specific data type, we are using the term T. Already we understand T specify type. That means it can accept any type of data. Third one, generic class. First of all, what is a class? Class is a logical structure which is used to generate an object of that class. Now, generic class in the sense The class which generates different data objects. So in the same class, the class generates string data objects, the class generates integer objects, the class generates user-defined objects. A class can generate different, actually a class generate object, all the objects of same data type. The type is class. But if the class generates different data objects, then such class is called generic class. What is the syntax? So the normal procedure class followed by name of the class, after that within angular bracket write down T, remaining the body of the class. So if you are writing T in the sense, that automatically becomes a generic class. For this class, we can generate different types of objects. Now, the last one is generic interfaces. Generic interfaces means the generic interfaces will implement generic class. So one interface is there. If the interface is implemented by generic class, so such interface is also called as generic interface. Simply the same syntax. Interface, name of the interface. After that, within angular bracket, you are writing T. So these are the four generic components that are mostly used in our Java. Now, I will explain one example program related to some generic class and generic method. So what is my example? Once consider one simple example. The example is, suppose simply create some user-defined generic class. User-defined generic class. I will show you how to write this example program, and then how do we create different data objects. Now, follow carefully. File, new, create one project. The name is Java project. You know how to use Eclipse. So my concept name is generic. This is my project name. My project name is given as generic. Now, no. Move to the here. Generic. Under SRC, right click. So create one package with right click. Okay. 1 second. See this one. New, create one package. The name of the package is, suppose I given as pack1. Within pack1, new, create one class. You can give any class name. Suppose my class name is some test. My class name is some test. So now what you are doing within this class, create some objects. That is, if you want, you can use some setter and getter methods. Some setter and getter methods. How do create a class? Public class text followed by T. So this is the way to create a generic class. This is the way to create a generic class, and then public create one object. Public create an object and use setter and getter methods. So how do you do that one? Public, my object name is OB. So get to OB. Like you already know how to use setter and getter methods. Suppose if the variable name is name, get name, set name. Here my variable name is OB, get OB of return OB. Here OB is not an object, just a variable. OB is just a variable. What is the return type? T. What is the return type? T. Now you understand? In place of data type, I used T. Here OB is not an object. OB is not an object. So similarly, public. Now setter method. For setting, we does not need any return type. Void set OB of. Here we need some name. You know the procedure. This dot OB is equal to OB. So here I create one variable. The variable is of type T. So for the getter method to return the value, setter method is for initialize the value. Now create one more class, new. If you want in the same package or else in different package. Demo generic is my class which consists of main method. So this is also in the same package. In the same package means no need to use any import. If it is in a different package, you need to write import pack1 dot star. Now here what is the procedure? Within the main system dot out dot println. My concept is you need to generate different types of data objects. Suppose first I will generate some integer object. First I will generate some integer object. How do we generate integer object? Simply, you know how to create an object. So class name within angular bracket instead of t return the type integer. Instead of t return integer. Some object is equal to new text of same procedure. How do we create an object? Exactly same procedure. But here you additional thing is we are writing the data type also. Okay. An object is created for the object called the set method for initialization. Here you are assigning the value. So integer object. So convert your primitive data into integer. Your primitive data type into integer. Fine. An object is created. System dot out dot println. Simply print the value. ob1 dot get method. Now understand this one. From this, what you understand? For the class text, here I am creating an integer object. For the class text, I generate one integer object. Exactly in the same way, if you want, you can generate some string object also. See this one? Instead of integer, here I want to generate string object. Now, in place of integer, write down string. That means for the class, I will generate string. Now, ob dot set to ob. For this is not required. Simply, I am writing some message welcome. I am writing some message welcome. This is OB2 and mark this one as OB2. Now, clear? That means for one class, we are generating two different types of objects. OB1 is an integer object. OB2 is a string object. This is the concept of generic class. This is the concept of generic class. Anyway, here this also satisfied generic method. If you are passing integer, this parameter is integer. If you are passing string, this parameter is string. Okay, now execute this one. See this one? Sorry, this. Oh, I need to save. Save and execute. See, first integer object is created perfectly, and then string object is created perfectly. You got the point? Each and every object, separate memory is allocated. For string object, one address is created. For integer object, one address is created. If you are given any user object, another address is created. This is the concept of generic programming components. From the next session onwards, we will discuss the concept of collection. Thank you.